Hey everybody, Happy New Year to you. Coming back to you, this is Pedro from Boys and Their Toys, and I'm going to hit you with our first marketplace find and score of 2025. It's late in the month. I think today is 1/26, so it's almost February. But, you know, here in the Northeast in New York, it's been pretty cold. Everybody's been locked down because of how cold it's been. So we were finally able to get out, finally able to do some toy hunting and toy shopping. So these are our first grabs of the year. I'm pretty excited about them. Let's go through them. First up, we're going to go with some Transformers that I think a lot of folks will be familiar with. Found these on Facebook Marketplace. We'll go through them one at a time. You see here we have Slag. This is the blue Slag Dinobot. He's the Triceratops. I was never a big Transformer collector as a kid in the 80s, but I always, you know, some things are just kind of iconic. You don't have to have collected them in the 80s to know that they were big and they were important. And I scored some of these a few years ago, but I did not have a Slag. I do have one of the newer ones that came out just a year or two ago. But again, that's a different scale, a different style figure. It's so awesome to have this classic kind of vintage version. And again, I wasn't a big Transformer collector as a kid, so I don't know if this is G1, G2. I know there's a red one. This is the blue one. And I love that I have the opportunity to kind of do some research on them and learn more about them now. And I plan on doing that. All right, so that's Slag. I have Sludge, who is the Brontosaurus, or as my daughter calls him, the long-necked dinosaur. Again, did not have any of these as a kid. I did get one of these a few years ago in a collection, but this one is much nicer. The joints are a lot tighter. I'll have to go through them both to see which one stays and which one is, you know, can be up for sale in the collection. Again, I don't have a huge Transformer collection, but it's great to have these guys now because they were just iconic if you grew up in the 80s. All right, so we have those two, and we have Grimlock, the leader of the Dinobots. Great figure. I probably will go through and transform these later. I'll look up an instructional YouTube video. I'd hate to break them now. They've been alive and well this whole time. I'd hate to snap something off, moving it in a direction that I shouldn't be moving it in. But he's pretty cool. He's very nice. I do have one of these from my previous collection that I got a few years ago, and that one has slightly tighter joints. You can see this leg is a little loose, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty solid. The stickers are there. I mean, solid figure from my youth, right? So we have those three Dinobots. We have these Galoob figures from a franchise that I think everyone will recognize. We'll go with the most recognizable first. We have B.A. Baracus from the 1983 Galoob 18 figures. These are the, I think they're 6-inch figures. I don't have any of these in my collection. I do have some of the weapons. As I was looking it up, I recognized some of the weapons and accessories that came with these figures, and I know I have some of them in some of my parts boxes. So that'll be fun to go through and figure out. They got the little soft heads that you can squish. Waist articulation. The thing I'm appreciating most about these figures is how boxy they are. You know, back in the 80s, they weren't that advanced with the articulation, so you can see they're pretty boxy. You know, kind of makes me feel good because I'm kind of shaped in that same way. This is B.A. Baracus, everyone knows was Mr. T. Great show in the 80s. Kind of a group of mercenaries who were outside the law, who did good for the world. Great show. So that's B.A. Baracus. We have, let him down there. We also have from that set Murdoch. He was kind of the you know, outside of the box thinker, the wild one, the crazy one. Again, super boxy. If you remember the show when you were a kid, you'll know that he was actually pretty slim and wiry. But this is his figure. He does have, this is his harness here. I did notice when I was doing a little bit of research on him that he has a pistol belt that I'll have to look around and see if I have. But again, don't have any figures from this series, so I got 2. I actually have 3, and we will come in with Face from the same figure line. And here's something that I learned, that his name is actually Templeton Peckface, but everybody just knew him as Face, right? We had B.A. Baracus, Hannibal, Face, and Murdoch. You will see that his foot is broken, so I mean, that's, you know, these were played with, which I love to find. You know, sometimes you get these collections and no one's ever touched them. You could tell that they've been kind of sedentary for 40 years. These were obviously played with. You know, the lady that I got them from off of Marketplace said she was cleaning out her attic. These were her husband's old toys. So proud to have them. Got them at a great price. So that's 3 out of the 4 18 members. I will have to find a Hannibal figure. But there we go. We got B.A. Baracus, Face, and Murdoch in that collection. We also got a few Toxic Crusader figures. The first one is Major Disaster. All right, you could just tell these were made around the same time as Ninja Turtles. You know, these came out slightly after the whole Ninja Turtle thing happened. They were done by the same company, Playmate Toys. You can see just how vibrantly colored they are. They also had a cartoon. I wouldn't associate them too much with the movie series, with the Toxic Avenger movie series. While I think they do have a basing in that, Trauma movies was not really kid friendly, and this property was a cartoon that was kid friendly. So like I wouldn't suggest, if you're collecting these, to let your kids watch the Toxic Avenger movies. They're pretty risque for the time. He does have his satchel, radio belt, radio bag thing, and his colorful rifle or pew-pew. Right? I just love these 80s colors. You know, you could just tell these are from the same company and age that Ninja Turtles came out in. Because who else was going to make these things in these crazy colors? And I have Headbanger, also from the Toxic Crusaders toy line. I don't know a whole lot about the backstory of these figures. I just know the property. I was a kid in the 80s and the early 90s, and I remember the cartoon. I didn't watch it all that much, but I remember it. I remember the figures. I was an avid Ninja Turtle collector, and I wanted to get these because a lot of the vehicles and stuff were were the same as the Ninja Turtle ones. But this character, Headbanger, I don't know too much about. He does have his little weapon thing here. I do know he has like a surfboard or a skateboard or something that I don't have. I'll have to find. But neat find. I actually didn't get these guys off of Marketplace. I got these from a local collectible shop called Pandora's Box in Lafayette, New Jersey. If you're in the area, if you're within an hour of the area, I would take the time and check it out. It's a great store. Has a ton of great vintage collectibles, tons of nostalgia. Again, that's Pandora's Box in Lafayette, New Jersey. Check it out if you can. It's an awesome place. Also from that same spot, I got this Blurt Balls piece. It was bought just the other day by the guys at Pandora's Box from my town of Middletown, New York, and brought out to Lafayette, New Jersey. And when they posted about it, I went and checked it out. This isn't a Mad Balls, but it was bought with a big Mad Balls collection and a bunch of Mad Ball knockoffs. This is a Blurt Ball, and his name is Spatooey Suey Pig. And the idea behind these were made of rubber, unlike the Mad Balls were foam. And this guy, if you squeeze him real fast at that time, this thing would shoot out, right? This is a worm-covered apple. It's pretty cool. But again, Blurt Balls, Mad Balls, kind of along the same vein as like Garbage Pail Kids or Food Fighters or Barnyard Commandos, those kinds of things. Really sweet piece. When my wife saw it, she got instant nostalgia. She remembered wanting it when she was a kid, so we had to pick it up when we were there at the store. But great little pickup here. Blurt Balls, Spatooey Suey Pig. Pretty cool. Hopefully I'll get back there and pick up a couple Mad Balls before they sell them out. With the Marketplace collection, I got this. I've never seen these before. When I saw it, I was very curious as to what it was. You can see it's like a robotic bug. These claws do open and articulate, and if you roll them, his legs move. I had no idea what it was, and I thought, you know, it probably came from the 90s, just given the colors and everything, but I was wrong. This is a piece from 1979. 1979's Mean Bug Gladiators line. This was actually a scorpion, and it is missing its tail, but it had a tail that hooked over, and it had like a heavy ball on the end of it, like a construction ball on it. I forget what it's called. But you know, pretty cool piece. I've never had one. I'll try and find the tail and stuff to go with it, just so I can have one piece in my collection. My collection is mostly 80s, 90s, early 2000s. I do have quite a bit of modern stuff also, but when I'm looking for this vintage stuff, I'm primarily looking for, you know, 80s and early 90s. That was the time that I was a kid playing with toys. But it's great to have, you know, new things. I have a couple of things like this from the 70s or the 60s, just kind of represented in my collection. When I find them, I can't turn them down. This came with a big lot of a lot of this other stuff, so it'll be a cool piece to see if I can finish and complete and just have one. But pretty neat. We got this 1982 4-inch Ewok, sorry, not Ewok, E.T. from the movie E.T. He does have an extendable neck feature. It's kind of simple. He's got this tab on the back, and you just lift it up and his head extends out and back down. I did have some of these as a kid, not these 4-inch figures. I had more of the smaller vinyl figures that are kind of like little tiny statues, but pretty cool to have. Pretty good articulation for an 80s toy. But great to have an ET in my collection. I don't think I have one. I might not have any ETs in my collection, but now I have one. All right, cool. And I got a Lost World of the Warlord Machiste figure, which is essentially a Remco knockoff He-Man figure. This came out in 1982 from Remco Toys. You can see he is pretty clean. All his joints are pretty solid. While I will, give him a little soap bath, I'm not going to do too much. I don't want to lose a lot of that paint and stuff. But it's always cool to find these knockoff figures, just to have. They're kind of like the big collectible thing now. So when somebody has one, they think they have gold and they want $1 million for him. But he just came in this collection of old stuff out of this lady's attic. I'm happy to have it. I've never had one before. I do have a few other Remco figures, so he'll go with them on the shelves when I get them cleaned up. But pretty cool. And the reason that I bought this set was for the next couple of pieces that I'm going to bring out. When I was a little kid, I had a good collection of Masters of the Universe and Masters of the Universe adjacent figure lines, like Remco figures and stuff. Only I didn't know that they weren't Masters of the Universe. I thought they were all He-Man figures. I loved them to death. I had a Snake Mountain. And even when I was done playing with He-Man and I moved on to other things like G.I. Joe, I still played with that Snake Mountain almost every day. My G.I. Joes would be in there, being tortured in the dungeons and stuff. But when I was into my Masters of the Universe phase, I had these saddled animals that to me were like Battle Cat and Panther. And I never knew that they weren't Masters of the Universe figures until I was already an adult. I had long since gotten rid of my toys. My mother, like lots of us, our mothers and grandmothers, either sold them or gave them away or threw them out, as we grew up. But years later, I came by a picture of me as a small kid playing with my Snake Mountain, and in the picture I had a Black Star figure and some Masters of the Universe figures, and I had a dragon, a double-headed dragon, and I wanted to find it and I couldn't find it. Didn't know what it was, didn't know what to look for. Later on I found one, but it was colored differently. But this weekend in 2025, I finally found the Galaxy Warriors Imperial Dragon Knights and Daggers two-headed dragon. Now these came out under different titles like Galaxy Warriors. It came out under Imperial Dragons Knights and Daggers. There were some other titles for them, but they were essentially kind of knockoff He-Man Masters of the Universe figures. I had this guy, and I had one of the other ones that I also bought this weekend. When I saw this in the marketplace lot, instantly drawn back to that picture and that time in my life. And best yet, right? These are from I think they're from 84 or 83. And I distinctly remember these saddles would just fall off all the time because there was nothing connecting them underneath. When I picked up these samples this weekend, I saw that they all have the original kind of zip tie that they came with. Now these are 40 years old, so I don't know if they weren't played with, if they were played with lightly, or somebody just really took care of them. But here is the two-headed dragon. This is the actual color of the one that I had when I was a kid, with the saddle, with the orange saddle. And again, you can look these up online and you'll see them you'll see the dragon in all different colors, you'll see the saddles in all different colors. But this is the one that I had as a kid, the green and yellow dragon with the orange saddle. Had to go get it. And it was a really good price, for what I got. So I got this guy. I got the Saber-Tooth Serpent. Again, gold with the gold saddle and the zip tie still intact from way back when. So this one is called the Saber-Tooth Serpent. Interesting dragon. There was lots of different versions of these animals. Again, all different colors, all different saddle colors. There were some that came with chariots that they would pull for like Remco style figures or Masters Universe 5 5.5-inch figures. These were the ones that I would assume just came with the animal and the saddle. A lot of the ones that came with chariots didn't have a saddle. They had like a harness that connected to the chariot. But got that one. That's 2. And this third one I got was one that I had as a kid. Was probably my favorite ride-on animal for my Masters of the Universe figures, and easily beat Battle Cat and Panther and any other animal, and that was the Rhino Avenger. I've only ever seen this one in purple, although online I think I've seen some in different colors. But as you can see, he's a rhino. That's purple and gray. He's got the gold saddle, and again, still has that plastic zip tie thing from back in the day. I would imagine I've seen people, you know, tie these on so that they stay on, or they'll use actual zip ties like modern zip ties. If you look at this, it's kind of like a waffle pattern kind of zip tie thing, and I remember those from back in the day. I just assume these are the ones that came on these, because these aren't, you know, zip ties that I would normally find now, I think. But again, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert in any of this. I just know that I had this. This was Skeletor's ride when I was a kid, and he was awesome. And I can't tell you how many characters got impaled on this horn, and how many times the bad guys won because of this horn, right? I was one of those kids who always had sympathy for the villains. So there we go. So I really bought this whole lot, with the exception of the Toxic Crusaders and the Blurt Ball. I got everything else from one person on Facebook Marketplace, cleaning out their attic, and I paid $50 for everything, except for, again, these 3 things that I got at Pandora's Box collectible store. So you tell me in the comments if you think I did good. If not, I know these can go for $20 to $30 each without a saddle. And to really get the ones that I had as a kid, you know, I was so excited about that. When I was looking at the pictures on Marketplace, I didn't even realize that the Dinobots were also in the set. I just really was focusing on these guys. But to get these 3 Dinobots, they all look like they're in great condition. Again, I will transform them off camera. I'll take my time and follow some kind of YouTube video or something to transform them to see how good they really are in both setups. But $50 for 18 figures, 3 Transformers, this guy, my 3 dragons, the ET, the Scorpion without its tail. Oh, and sorry, I have a Ewok also. I got Teebo, the Ewok, from the Star Wars trilogy, right? This is 1983 Teebo. He's got his satchel that I would assume is either a horn or some kind of flask or something. I think it's a horn. What's great about this is I have several of these already, but I don't have this satchel horn thing. But I do have his. It's kind of like a caveman kind of rock on the end of a stick weapon, and his headgear. I have both of those, but I don't have this. So that's going to give me at least 1 complete Teebo. And I'll probably have like 3 other Teebos in different states of being complete. But I'm setting up an Ewok diorama with 2 Ewok villages that I have. So he's going to fit right in on that. So we have Teebo. So again, he was a part of this deal also. So $50 for all this stuff. Let me know what you think, if I did good or not. And I think it's a great way to start the year. I'm trying this year to be a little more conservative with my purchases. Going to try and focus a little bit more on some vintage stuff, and I'm going to cherry pick the newer stuff. You know, there's just so much coming out all the time. Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe Classifieds, Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions, NECA Turtles, Ninja Turtles. There's just constantly something coming out. And as much as I'd like to get everything, we all know the price of everything is higher. The amount of stuff coming out is more. The ability for people to make newer, cooler stuff is easier. You know, folks with 3D printers and stuff. I'm going to try in 2025 to kind of change my mindset, really focus on getting some more vintage stuff and beefing up those collections, cherry picking a lot of the modern stuff, and making a lot more of these dioramas. You can see I already did a video on this custom Castle Grayskull that I made, and it's really an awesome Castle Grayskull, and I made it for free, essentially, just the cost of paint. Everything else was, you know, found materials and stuff. And really in 2025, with the size family I have a lot of kids. It's really the most responsible way, I think, to be a collector and to stay in the game as a collector without, you know, putting everybody in the poorhouse. So hopefully you like this video. If you did, like and subscribe. Come back for the next one. Go back and watch the last ones. Still working on the unboxing of the Series 1 Cosmic Legions figures. Give me some feedback so I know if that's something that you'd like to see. If you'd like to see me do more of these kind of marketplace or toy hunting videos, if you'd like to see collection videos, you know, let me know what you'd like to see. All right, see you on the next one.